Got it? You got it?
Okay, right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the BizMums Facebook webinar. So tonight I'm joined by Melissa Plummer from Map Designs, who's going to be telling us why Facebook is still good for business and why it's still the place to be, dispelling perhaps some of the negativity that we've been feeling around it. BizMums would not be here if it wasn't for Facebook. Facebook was where I put the first post when I was looking to find whatever BizMums has become. I was looking for a network of other mums in business, and it was on Facebook that I put a post that just asked if there was anything like that already available. Nobody came back with anything, and lots of other mums, some of them who I am very good friends with now, so I'm really grateful of that, who all came back and said, we're looking for something similar, and the rest is history, really. And it's been because of Facebook that we've created the community that we've got. We've been able to promote the events, we've been able to set up the events, we've been able to share things on the page, and now the groups is kind of where a lot of the stuff happens, particularly in the members only group, which is a secret group. No one else can see what goes on in there apart from the members, and that makes it a really safe place, because unfortunately a lot of us on Facebook have our profiles which are open and everyone can see them, and it's hard to be sometimes to be yourself and to be honest. So Facebook, I'm really grateful for the platform that's been available. But at the same time, just recently there's been a lot of changes, and I know this has unsettled a lot of people, particularly, mainly small businesses who rely on Facebook a lot and rely on it not to cost them anything apart from their time. And unfortunately, it's looking now, obviously Facebook is a business, it needs to make money, and small businesses are getting penalised, and we're all trying to find a way really that we can use Facebook without it costing us any money if possible, or not a great deal of money, because as small businesses we don't have massive budgets. So I've invited Melissa this evening, and Melissa is a fantastic biz mum from Codsall near Wolverhampton. She hosts our Codsall group, and Melissa and I have had various chats about Facebook and the changes and how we can do things better. So that's why I've invited Melissa to come and talk to us tonight. So I'll hand you over to her now, and then at the end of her talk we'll open it up to questions. So those of you that are joining us live tonight, thank you very much, and you will have the opportunity, you should be able to see a chat function at the side of your screen, so you can type in any questions as we're going along if you like, or keep them to the end, and then we will ask Melissa. And I also have a couple of questions that people have already emailed as well, and so we can go through those. So I will hand you over now to Melissa.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, welcome to the webinar. This is all a bit new. I haven't done this before, so hopefully you can hear me all okay. So when Michelle first asked me to deliver this webinar, the first thing that came into my mind really about Facebook was all the complaining that there's been, as Michelle has already mentioned, when you're using Facebook for business at the moment, from myself included. So I thought that today would be a great opportunity to look into the good aspects of Facebook, because I think we forget sometimes about those, why it's still so important for small businesses, and then I thought I'd share some tips on getting the most out of Facebook as well, because as Michelle said, most of us are doing this ourselves, so as much as we can do, that's great. I've been using Facebook for business for just over 2 years, and as Michelle said about BizMums, my business has got a lot to owe to Facebook, which is why I don't kind of want to dismiss it quite yet. But it has been getting very confusing recently, so hopefully we're going to clear some of those things up for you today. if you're watching this live, as Michelle said, please feel free to ask some questions and we'll do the best we can to answer. So I'm going to disappear. I'm going to put my my slides on for you to see, which you can hopefully all see. Michelle, can you see those?
Yeah, we can see those. Yeah, that's fab.
Great. Okay, so what I thought we would look at today, we are going to be discussing why Facebook is still so important for business despite lots of the negativity around it at the moment, and I'll be sharing some tips as well. So what are we going to be looking at? To start with, we're going to be having a look at the problems with Facebook. Then we're going to be having a look at why it's still so important for businesses. We're going to be having a look at some facts and figures as well, and then some top tips for using Facebook for business. And then, as we said, finishing with your questions at the end. So before we look at some solutions, let's look at some of the current problems with Facebook so that we're all on the same page and we know what we're trying to deal with now. So the big problem, as most of us are aware, I'm sure, is how many people see the posts from your Facebook page. If you look, when you're on your Facebook page, if you look under all your posts, it will tell you how many people or a percentage of people saw your post. If you've been watching and keeping an eye on this, it's been dropping recently, and Facebook appear to be making it harder and harder for people to organically see your posts, which means see your post without paying anything. Why are Facebook doing this? Basically because they want you to pay to promote posts and pay for advertising. I don't think you can necessarily blame them. As Michelle's already mentioned, they're trying to run a business just as we are. But I think for small businesses, this is a big problem. We can't afford to pay to promote every post we send out. We can't afford to pay for advertising, and it kind of feels like we've got the short straw a little bit. And for some people who rely very heavily on Facebook for the business, it's affecting this. So it's obviously quite a serious problem for us. One of the reasons that people are so unhappy and about this is because it doesn't happen on other social media sites. Twitter doesn't limit what posts you see everything. YouTube doesn't make you pay to promote your videos, and neither do LinkedIn or Google+. So it's kind of, I think people feel a little bit like, so why are Facebook doing this? And it's why a lot of people are getting fed up. I will say at this point that promoted posts and Facebook adverts are worth considering, especially if Facebook is a huge part of your business. You do pay for other forms of advertising and marketing, so if Facebook's a big part of that, then maybe it's something to consider. I've experimented with promoted posts and haven't particularly had too much success, but this doesn't mean it wouldn't work for you. All different businesses are different. You can start promoting posts from something like £3 a time, so you're not breaking the bank. So it's definitely worth having a bit of an experiment with, but make sure you do your research first and make educated decisions. So we're going to go on to a slightly more positive note, because that feels like we've started with the worst bit, but at least now it's only going to get better. So why is Facebook for business so important? After what we've just talked about, if you're like me, you're probably wondering what the point of using Facebook is. They appear to be making it hard for us, so why should we use them and use other people and use other places instead? Well, I don't think we quite need to despair yet. There are some very positive aspects of Facebook which we're going to look at, and I think it's still very important for small businesses. So let's move on to those. So firstly, Facebook is still the largest social media network in the world, so this is not to be ignored. None of the others have taken over it yet. It's still where the most people are, so I don't think you can forget about it altogether. Secondly, Facebook is a community. Don't underestimate this. I mean, this depends on who your clients are, but I think most people are on Facebook. Not as many normal people are on Twitter and LinkedIn and Google+. What I mean by that, if you think about your family and your friends, the moms on the playground, people in your family, whoever you might be trying to sell to, most of them are on Facebook now. Not too many people I know are on Twitter socially. Most people use it for business. Google Plus, a lot of people haven't even heard of, and LinkedIn is for more professional businesses. So I think that Joe Blogs still uses Facebook more than any of the others. So it's definitely worth thinking about where your clients are. Facebook is great for engaging your customers. You can keep them up to date and be there to interact. I know you can do this on all other social media networks, but I think that Facebook still has the advantage over this. As you say, I find that if I post something on Facebook, it gets a better response than on other things, because, as I say, more people are on there, more of my clients are on there, only a selection of them are on Twitter and other things. For Facebook groups, for me, these are a big selling point of Facebook. If you're like me, you're probably part of lots of different Facebook groups. Other social media networks have similar things, but not quite as popular as Facebook. This makes it interacting with specific people easier. Most networking groups you'll go to, as BizMums has, will have their specific Facebook groups for you to interact and share and get to know each other online. They have groups for specific locations and specific target markets and things like that. So that's a great way to promote and, of course, increase your reach as well. So Facebook groups, if you don't use them, are definitely worth looking into. This is a point I hadn't really thought of, to be honest, until I started to research into this. Facebook is not biased to any specific industry. A lot of other social media networks are popular to specific groups. So, for example, as we've already mentioned, LinkedIn is aimed at professionals. Pinterest is aimed at more creative industries, but Facebook is kind of popular across the board. So especially if you're like me and you tend to work business to business, again, you need to think about where those businesses are, and Facebook is still very popular in all industries. So another important one to consider. Facebook has a good balance of content. What I mean from this is there's text, photos, links, videos. Yes, again, I know you get this on other social media networks, but you know, Twitter, you don't always see the photos as you scroll down. You're limited on the amount of text. On Facebook, you're not. Facebook balances this pretty well, I think. So again, another one to consider. And then the Facebook timeline. Again, I think this is another big asset for Facebook. It's great for building an overview of your business. I know if I like someone's Facebook business page, I tend to scroll down and have a look at previous things they've done and other comments that people have made, and or go into their photo albums and have a flick around. Again, this is easier on Facebook than any of the other social media networks, and I think it's really good for giving an overview of your business. I think it helps make you more reputable, so people can see that how long you've been going for, other things that you've done. So I think this is really important as well. So, as we say, there's been quite a bit of negative stuff in this talk, unfortunately, which isn't going to go away. But what I thought, just to back up really what I've just been talking about, I thought we'd have a quick look at some Facebook facts and figures, because I think some of these are still quite impressive. So hopefully they'll make you feel a little bit better. So let's have a quick look. So Facebook has 1.26 billion users, which is pretty impressive, and as I say, still the biggest one out of all of them. Facebook averages 1.23 billion monthly users, so it's not like some of the social media networks, whereas they've got lots of people signed up and lots of people, you know, just have dormant accounts that they don't use. That proves that people are actually there and actually using it, which of course is important. 42% of people say that Facebook is their preferred social network. Again, this is important if you think they've got nearly half of the audience, and there's, you know, 7 or 8 other social media networks that are quite popular. So Facebook is still up there and one of the most popular. 23% of Facebook users log in at least 5 times a day. I think for a lot of us that's probably low. I think I probably log in a lot more than 5 times a day. But what that shows is that people are regularly logging on. People are regularly checking and looking. They're not just logging in once a week. 47% of Americans, and I assume this is probably a similar statistic around the world, this is just happens to be the fact that I found, say Facebook is their #1 influencer on purchases. I must admit, have a think yourself. Does Facebook influence what you buy? I'm a lot more likely to buy things if I know them on Facebook and interact, because you already trust them, you already know them. If you're buying products off them, especially if it's something handmade, you can go back, you can have a look at what they've done before, you can see, it just makes you trust them a little bit more. And 70% of marketers use Facebook to gain new customers. So yeah, that one speaks for itself really. If that many people are using it, it's still not one to be ignored. Okay, so a few more facts. Fans are 71% more likely than non-fans to recommend a brand they're a fan of to their friend. Again, if I buy from people that I know on Facebook, I also recommend them. It makes it easier to recommend a lot of the time. You can say, oh, take a look, they're on Facebook, or you can quite easily send a link. So I think that's a really good one. As we all know, in business, recommendations mean the world, whether they're online or offline. Fans are 28% more likely than non-fans to be loyal to a brand. I think, again, this is not only because you are building loyalty and building your reputation, but also people just remember you if you're actively there and they see you all the time. Quite often in business, it's about being the person that people think of. So that when people think, oh, I need a logo, they think of me instead of thinking of someone else. The daily active users in the UK are 24 million, which I think is still quite an impressive figure. And sorry, I missed one out there. And more women use Facebook than men, not by a huge percentage, I don't think, but that's quite interesting, especially if you're thinking of your target markets and who you're targeting at. I think that's quite a useful fact to know. And then just some demographics that you can see here. So 86% of 18 to 29-year-olds use Facebook, 73% of 30 to 49-year-olds, 57% of 50 to 64-year-olds, and 35% of over 65s, which I think are quite impressive figures, really. So yes, these are not only useful for what you should be using Facebook, but also when you're thinking of your target market, these are quite helpful. But I know after reading those, I felt a little bit more positive about using Facebook again. People are there, people are using it, and people are more likely to buy from you if you're there. Of course, the other thing to remember is if you're not there, they'll find one of your competitors and buy from them instead. So I think it's still important to be there. So, some top tips for using Facebook for business. What I wanted to do here really was talk about how you can get the most out of it despite all the things we've talked about and all the restrictions that Facebook are putting on us. How to get the best interaction and how to grow your reach organically. Of course, interaction is so important because the way you get more people to see your post organically is that if people like or comment or even better share your post, that's how more people see it, because then it pops up in your in other people's news feeds. So your goal really is to get people to react and to interact. So how do we do this? So produce great content. This might seem obvious, but a lot of people don't. This is one of the best ways to increase your organic reach, because if it's interesting and people like it, they will like and comment and share. Make sure you're engaging people, you're interacting, you're asking questions, you're sharing different types of content. So share some examples of your work, share links, share things from other people's pages, which we will come to in a minute. Oh. Use the 80-20 rule. What this is it should be 80% original content that provides values to your followers and 20% promotional content. So bear this in mind. So you don't want to do too many promotional posts, too many buy this, look at me. It should be more about making yourself seem like an expert in your field, and sharing content that you think your users are going to be interested in you reading. Make yourself accessible. There's no point worrying about your reach if people don't know where to find you. The amount of Facebook pages you go on when you search something and you can't find a web address, you can't find a phone number. I have clients come to me to help them with their social media sometimes, like, oh yeah, that phone number's out of date. There's obviously no point worrying about how many people see your posts if when they do decide to get in touch with you, they can't get in touch with you. So make sure your contact info is up to date. Make the most of your about section so that people know a little bit more. Make sure your website link is there, and make sure you've got a profile photo of some description. Depending on what your business, ideally this should be a photo of you, but if not, your logo, just something that makes people realise they've come to the right place. Number 4, the big one, share. Everyone's in the same boat. That's why we're all here listening to this today. They want to reach more people just as much as you want to reach more people. So if you share for others, they'll do the same for you. It is a bit, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So just think about that next time you read something particularly interesting. Think, you know what, I'll share that, and hopefully they'll do the same for you. If they don't, leading on to number 5, don't be scared to ask. If you have a particular post that's important, ask people to share, and I'm sure they'll do it for you, and I'm sure they'll ask you back as well. I do this with a few of my friends on Facebook. If we've got something particular to promote, just send each other a quick message and say, I've just posted something on my business page, would you mind sharing it? And now actually it's got to the point where we just share things for each other automatically without asking. But don't be shy to ask someone to share it for you. The worst they're going to say is no. Make the most of photos, and of course videos. Facebook's getting better at being able to show videos as well. So make the most of these. They capture attention, and then again they're much more likely to attract likes and comments and shares, especially if you bake cakes or take photos of cute babies. If you've ever posted anything like that, you'll get hundreds of likes. Same if you post a quote or a joke or some kind of work-related humour, posts like that always get a good response. And it shows that you're a person and not just a kind of faceless business that hasn't got a sense of humour. So use Facebook groups. We mentioned this before. They're a great Facebook feature, great for sharing. Again, as we've said, if one of the goals is to share and it reach more people, you can share your posts from your page into different groups so that therefore people that don't follow your page are seeing your posts. You're getting known. You can target where you're posting. If your business is specifically aimed at moms, then you can post in groups like BizMums, or there's other, you know, mom related groups around there, and then hopefully these people will then follow your page if they like what you've posted. So I think Facebook groups are a really good feature to use. Again, we've mentioned this one briefly. Consider promoted posts. As a small business, we obviously can't afford to do this all the time, but I think if you've got a specific post to promote, if you've got a workshop or an event or a particular offer or a competition or something like that that is just a bit of a one-off that you want to promote, then I definitely think that using promoted posts is a good idea. As I said before, they start from £3 and you can target specific ages, target markets, locations, things like that. So that's quite helpful. Use events. Another great feature on Facebook. If you are doing an event or a workshop or training course or whatever it might be, set it up as a Facebook event. It makes it easier to share. People can join the event, and then you can post specific things. Yeah, they're great if you're running any kind of event. Be on Facebook. Again, this might be obvious, but when I get people coming to me and saying that, you know, they've tried social media and it's not working and they need help, you go on and have a look at their profile and they haven't kind of posted anything for 6 months. The bottom line is there's no point doing all this stuff that we've talked about if you're not going to be on there. You kind of need to commit to it and be on there regularly. There's no point people commenting on your posts or sending your messages if you're not going to be there to message them back. You want to be interacting. As we've talked about other people sharing your posts, if you're not on there and sharing other people's posts, they're not going to bother doing it for you. So it's all about being on there and building relationships with people. And then be consistent. Again, this is true of any form of marketing. You need to post regularly. You need to vary what you post. You need to be active regularly. There's no point kind of posting something once every 3 months and then wondering why you're not really getting a great response from something. You need to decide how you're going to, you know, what you're going to do with Facebook, and try and be as consistent as you can. If you're going to post once a day, great, post once a day, but be consistent. The bottom line is that you get what you put in. My last point is link to your website. Ideally, if you have lots of different social media profiles, the way it should work is that all your social media should be pushing traffic to your website, so that there's kind of one main place that it's all going to. So make sure that your links are there, make sure that people can find you, and therefore you're not relying solely on Facebook either, because hopefully once people have found your website for the first time, they'll just go straight there. Make sure you think about why you use social media, and I think that will help you decide what to post. Are you trying to drive traffic to your website? Are you trying to gain awareness for something? Are you promoting a product? If you are, which product? Are you trying to get people to book on workshops or an event? This will just give you a bit of a sense of direction of what you've got to do. And finally, I think the key to social media is to plan. You need to know what you're doing before you do it. Also, of course, the good thing with this is if it's not working and you have planned, you can go back instead of just blindly thinking, oh, I've been doing Facebook, but I don't really know what's going wrong. If you've planned, then you can kind of go back and see why it's not working. So, just to conclude, yes, Facebook is putting some large restrictions on business pages that we don't like, but I can't imagine they're going to take these restrictions away anytime soon. So I think we just have to kind of do the best we can with all the tools that we've got at our disposal and make the most of what we've got, really. Yeah, there's no magic cure to gaining a fantastic reach, but I think with consistency and great content and sharing and building relationships, this all will help. And as we've already said, Facebook is still the world's largest social media network, and it's still growing, and I don't think it's going anywhere in the too distant future, and it's where most of our clients are, so I don't think most of us can afford to ignore it. So I think that's pretty much it for me. We're going to answer some questions, I think, in a minute.
Yeah, thank you. That was brilliant.
Yeah, so yeah, feel free to get in touch if you've got any more questions. Feel free to get in touch after today if you suddenly go home and think and go, you can find both me and Michelle on Facebook. So yeah.
Fab. No, it's definitely still, you know, somewhere to be, isn't it? And like you said, those facts and figures really just confirm that. And it's, you know, a lot of it is understanding where your ideal customer is, and if that's where they are, and probably look at those facts and figures, knowing the businesses of a lot of the mums, they will be, and that's where we all hang out. But it's just becoming, like you said, putting a plan together and just becoming a lot more conscious of what you are doing on the social media. And I think a big part of it is the sharing. Like you said, you know, we can sit there and we can look at posts and think, oh, that's good, but if we're not liking and engaging with them, then other people aren't either. So it's trying to just to get into that habit, and if everybody gets into that habit, it will help everyone along a little bit.
Yeah. Can you still see my screen, or is that gone now?
I can see you now.
Okay, great.
So one question that we've had was around negative comments. So what's your take on, if you have some negative comments on your page, what do you do? Do you delete them? Do you answer them? Do you report them? What do you think?
I mean, I haven't actually come across this myself. Hopefully most people don't get too many negative comments. I mean, you can change the privacy control on your page, which I think we do for some of the BizMums groups, which means you have to approve every post that goes on there by people who aren't an admin. So if you did have a big problem with this, then that's probably something to consider, but you're making yourself more work because you've got to go on and approve every time. But then I think don't underestimate the value of dealing with a problem well. There's been some great examples of big companies doing this, specifically on Twitter. When they've had someone complain and they've dealt with it really well, it actually leaves you in a better position than you were in before. So I think if it's particularly rude and someone's just swearing at you for the sake of it, then I think just delete it and move on. But if it's they've got a genuine complaint or problem or question or whatever, then I think answering it well and showing your good customer service will do you the world of good.
Okay, fab. Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think if you do get some kind of negative, if it's justified and it is genuinely, especially a customer perhaps who's upset with the service or something like that, you can rectify it, can't you? And it does. Yeah. It shows you in a good light. Whereas if you just ignore it and you just delete it or whatever, your other customers might have already seen that, and that doesn't look good. That doesn't look well on your. And
you're only going to upset that person more, so they might post something worse, or they might start saying things about you in like public groups and things like that you haven't got control over. So you're better to kind of control the situation yourself, I think.
Definitely.
And maybe contact that person. Send them a message and kind of deal with it that way. And yeah,
no, definitely. And I've seen posts on business pages that have just spiraled out of control by people ignoring them. And I think if the company just got back in touch with them straight away and dealt with it, it wouldn't have got to the point that it has. And it's it can ruin businesses really and reputation. So it's important to address it head on.
And it links back to that being on Facebook thing. If you're there regularly, you'll know them. Whereas if you're not on Facebook all the time, that's when some of those people might quite innocently have not seen that post because they weren't on there.
That's it. That's kind of not really ignore it, can't you? That definitely miss it. Okay, so how often would you recommend posting on a business page?
I think this is a difficult one. I've put about 2 to 3 times a day. Ideally, but I think it depends what your business is, and I think it should be whatever feels natural. I always say to people, don't try and force it. If you've got nothing to say, then don't post anything, because it's going to come across forced, or you're going to end up posting something a bit rubbish. So, but hopefully if you go back to like the tips and you plan a bit in advance, you'll know what you're going to post and what you're going to say. And I think it naturally goes up and down a bit. We all do it, don't we? If you've got an event to promote, you're on Facebook more than usual. And then if you're particularly busy, you kind of disappear for a week. And I don't think that that's a big issue, because it shows that you're a person, doesn't it? And as long as you don't disappear altogether, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, that's it. Just as long as it's just trying to be consistent as best you can, isn't it?
Yeah, we've put that. It's being consistent. So when people ask me this about social media or about things like blogging and stuff, I say it doesn't really matter what you do, as long as what you choose to do, you do consistently. So if you're only going to go post something every other day, fine, as long as you're consistently posting something every other day. Don't like go mad for 2 days and post like 10 things a day and then go silent for 2 weeks, or
No, that's it. Okay, next question. Is it okay to share a post from your business page on your personal profile?
I've put here yes. It depends a little bit on your business. I mean, for me, I'm selling to other businesses, so I don't share on my personal profile too much, because most people that I know who run a business would see it on my page, hopefully. But I think you can, but I think just don't overdo it. I always think, you know, my friends are on Facebook because they're my friends, not because they want me to sell at them. But sometimes if there's a specific event or something that I think would be useful to more than the people who just follow my page, I would. So I think it just, yeah, you've just got to be a bit sensible and don't irritate people too much.
Yeah, definitely. I've had friends and seen people that just overkill posting about their business, and like you said, you're friends with them because you're friends in a social way. And
Exactly.
if you wanted to see about their business all the time, you would follow their business page.
And if
So
you
I
do
think
follow
it's just,
their business page and you're friends with them, it means you're
yeah,
seeing
you get it
everything
twice.
wrong. And that gets I've kind of unfriended a few people for that, because you like, you know, you don't, yeah, like you say, if you wanted to know about the business, then hopefully people will follow your page instead of you, won't they? So
Yeah, and my other, I've got a little tip for that actually. On your personal profile, if you make sure where you put, I think it's in where you work, you can edit the settings so it's either under your work category or something like that,
yeah,
and you can link it to your business page so that when someone clicks in, because before now I've been trying to find somebody and I know who they are and I don't know their business page, and they've got nothing at all on their personal profile about their business, and they haven't even got a link to their Facebook page.
and sometimes if
No
it's a really
way.
common name, you're thinking, are you the kind of
This is it. So
the
make
one who
sure
runs
that,
that, or have I picked, because sometimes their
yeah,
profile picture is like a picture of their kids or a cartoon character, and you're thinking, so is
that's
it
it.
that, you know,
So make sure
January
that
there, or
it's clear for people who are looking at your personal profile what your business is and what you do, but not going overkill on sharing the posts all the time. Maybe once, twice a
yeah,
week is probably okay. That's acceptable if it's of general interest.
yeah,
But make sure you've got some reference to your business in your profile that's always there.
yeah,
Right, okay, so we've got quite a lot of questions in the chat, which is brilliant. We'll
right.
see how
I
many
can't see them all
we
actually,
can
so
get through. So the first one's from Colette. It says, is it just business page posts that are restricted in this way?
no, personal profiles are restricted as well. I don't think quite as much, but you actually, I was watching a video on this the other day, and you can actually pay to promote personal posts now. Why on earth you would want to pay to promote your posts? But it's not as big a deal on the personal page, because I think if there's someone you're particularly friendly with, you will kind of see on their profile, or yeah, I think the people that, I mean, it's the same with business pages, that the people that you interact with the most will come up on your news feed more often. The people that you kind of hardly ever interact with don't come up as often. But yeah, they are restricted, but I don't think quite as much. And yeah,
Okay.
because obviously you can't see every post that everyone's posted. You know, if you haven't been on Facebook all day, you log on, you don't see every post that I've got like over 400 friends or something. If I saw every post, them and all the business pages I followed, you'd be like, your news feed would kind of keep going forever, wouldn't they? So
Yeah, no, that's it. Okay, next question. If we pay for an advert to be on the side of Facebook, so I guess that's on the the square adverts that you
yeah.
get down the side, then will that boost all the posts that you do on our page? As we can't be expected to boost every single post, especially if it generates fake likes.
Yeah, so they're two different things. So promoted posts are just your normal post on your page. You'll notice there'll be like a little button underneath that says boost, and that just kind of promotes that post, so more of your followers or more of whatever target market you've chosen will see that. The adverts, which tend to be down the right hand side, is just a bit of a generic post of yours, so it would have like your logo and say like Map Designs and have a little kind of blurb. So no, it doesn't boost all your posts, it's just an advert to your page that would draw people who don't like your page to like your page. And this is what I mean. I mean, big businesses probably do pay to boost all their posts, which is why it's such a big problem for small businesses, because you could say even pick one a day or one a week that you could promote, but you can't promote all of your posts, which is kind of the issue, really. Yeah.
Well, no, well that's it. But there are bigger businesses that are doing that, aren't they? That's the trouble. They've got the marketing budget and they can afford to do it.
And you would want to promote all your posts. You know, when you share that daft picture of a cat doing something or whatever you've posted, you wouldn't want to, you know, and I quite often post kind of design related jokes. You wouldn't want to pay to promote those, really. You want to pay to promote the ones that are promoting a workshop or a piece of work you've just finished, or a particular service or an offer or a competition. So they're the kind of posts you would promote anyway.
Yeah, that's it. The kind of the posts that you can monitor and you can see what kind of return on your investment that you're going to get. They're the types of ones really that you want to be boosting when you're on a smaller budget, because you'll know if it's working or not for you. Like you said, if you just pay in to promote a picture, then you're not going to get anything back from that.
And the false likes, I do think that a little bit. I've paid to promote a couple of posts and the figures look great. It comes back going like, however many thousands have seen this post, but I promoted a post that for one of my workshops, and I didn't have any extra people book on from that, but the figures looked very good. So I think some people are a little bit skeptical to how much it works, but other people have come back and said positive things. So I think you kind of have to give it a go for your business, really, and if it doesn't work, then tick it off as something that doesn't work and you won't do it again.
No, that's it. So Jenny, if that hasn't answered your question, then just post again and to see if that's explained it a little bit for you. Rachel's put here, do you think that Facebook is the best platform to use for B2B selling? And I guess we've kind of covered that a little bit already.
Yeah, I mean,
it just totally depends on who your ideal customer is, really, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think if you're selling B2B, you're probably in a little bit of a better position, because these people are probably on LinkedIn. There's a good chance they're going to be on Google Plus, and they're probably going to be on Twitter. So you can kind of use the other platforms. I think the people who've got the biggest problems is people who are aiming at, I don't know, so someone that makes handcrafted items that are kind of, very like business to consumer, and are selling to kind of, like we said, Joe Blogs, who probably aren't going to be on Twitter, because as I say, most, I don't know too many people who are on, and I think of my friends and my family, not many of them are on Twitter personally, and if they are, they don't use it regularly. So I think actually if you're business to business, you're probably in a slightly better situation. So I wouldn't give up on Facebook, but I would use it alongside other things. Give Google Plus a go if you haven't already. And if it's a professional type business, then you definitely need to be on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think LinkedIn is another good one for professional businesses, like you said. Rachel's actually posted here a statistic that 14% of consumers buy from adverts, the best buy through referral, which I think so true. You often, and we see this a lot of BizMums, people buy from people, don't they? And you buy from because a friend has recommended it to you, and Facebook works well in that way, because even though it's sponsored stories and it flashes up that your friends like something, your friends have done this, your friends have done that, so it comes across like that in a way.
Exactly. I think the promoted posts come across better than the adverts. I mean, I think what you've got to think a lot of the time is think about what you do on Facebook. Have you ever clicked on an advert down the side and bought anything? I haven't.
No.
I've clicked on some of the promoted posts.
That's it. The ones in the news feed come up. They're more in your face, aren't they? You see
exactly. And like you say, generally will come up and say like, Michelle has liked this, and you kind of think, oh, Michelle's liked it, I'll have a look. It's very similar to like Google ads. Who actually clicks on the ads down the side? And I make a point of not clicking on the sponsored ones that come at the very top of Google, because it's the same thing, they've been paid for, so they're not there because they're the best or because they've got the best website. They're there because they've paid to be there, and as you say, there's not as much trust and loyalty there particularly. So that's why I say I think you've got to know your business quite well to whether it's the right thing or not.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. Jenny's mentioned further bit down here about an online shop on Facebook. I think I've seen something about that. Is there
Yes, you
like an
can
app or
have
something?
shops on Facebook. Yeah. I haven't used these particularly. Obviously, my business wouldn't really work as a shop on Facebook. They made quite a big deal of when they came out, but in all honesty, I don't really know anyone who's used one. So I'm not sure if that's a kind of shows how good they are or not if lots of people aren't using them. So I'd definitely kind of do your research a little bit. But it comes up as like an app next to kind of where your photos are, and then it links to a page, and I think people can buy straight through Facebook. So it might be something to consider, but for most people, I think ideally you want people to click through to your website and buy through there, really, because it's one more thing for you to do. Then you'd have to add stock onto Facebook and on your website and on wherever else as well. So, yeah,
that's it. We were
that
talking about
helps
this.
a little bit.
Yeah, in Telford last night it was mentioned about the shop, and I think that was it. The tip really is if you're selling products and you've got a website already, that to make it really easy to buy, because no end of times I see a lovely item posted on someone's business page, a picture, but there's no link to where you can buy it from. There's no price. There's no guide to size. There's nothing, and you're just kind of left like, oh, I really like that. I really want to buy that, but how?
Yeah, so I think you need to comment.
It's not easy to buy it.
That's it in your description, really. When you post the picture, if it is for sale, it should have a link to where they can buy it from, whether it be Etsy, a Facebook shop, a website. You need to make things as easy for people, because how many times have you scrolled past something and thought, oh, that's nice, and then, as you say, when there's no obvious instructions, you've just kept scrolling, and then you'll see something else shiny and buy that instead, won't you? So it's making it as easy for people, and so they haven't got to click too many times. As you say, I saw someone do it the other day. There was a really nice dress and loads of people commented, and she commented and went, oh, it's not actually in stock till next week. I thought, well, how many of these people do you think are going to wait and buy this dress in a week? Because they'll either realise they can't afford it, or they'll go and buy another dress if they actually need one. Whereas you've got a lot of impulse buying, I think, if people have been able to just click on a link and buy it. So they missed out a little bit.
So Stacey's asked, is it right that not all page likers will see your posts?
Well, it's not right, but that's what it means. If you look underneath your post, it'll say something like, 18% of people have seen your post, which isn't fair, and it's not right. No, ideally you'd want everyone to see it, but that's like things we've already talked about. The more people that like it and comment on it, because it'll come up in your newsfeed if you commented on one of my posts, and then someone that you're friends with, it'll come up and say, Michelle Childs has commented on this. Obviously, if people share it, so that's why we're saying it's the interaction really that's going to boost how many people see it. The bottom line is all this stuff Facebook's done isn't really fair for small businesses, but I can't see them backtracking and taking it all off. So, sometimes when people are having a big moan about it, it is awful, but you kind of think moaning isn't really doing anything about it, is there? You have to kind of find these other ways round things and make the best of it. And if you do think your customers are somewhere else, like someone's already mentioned, then maybe you do put a little bit more effort into somewhere else. But if most of your customers are in Facebook, then you've just got to do the best you can so that people see it, and people can add it to their interest lists. People are putting lots of posts about this. If people can click on your page and click add to interest list, and then I think that'll make sure that they see your posts. So there are ways around doing things.
Okay. Ria's posted, can we trust the facts and figures on boosted posts? I paid for one, and 5 minutes later it said money had gone and thousands had seen it, but I had no likes or comments, which could have just been the post, she did say, but she was wary.
Yeah, well, I've already I've just said that really in my the one that I did. I thought exactly the same as Ria did. That yeah, the figures looked amazing. It went up and like 5 times the amount of people had seen it. But I didn't have any extra. Like Ria said, no extra likes, no comments, no extra books on my workshop. I suppose there's no real way of finding out whether those figures from Facebook are true or not, really, is there? There's no real way of checking it, but it's made me a bit wary. I've done it twice and had the same thing, so I've decided I'm not promoting any more posts. But as I say, other people have come back and had really good feedback, so I don't think you should necessarily be scared off by other people's bad experiences. Give it a go. It might work, but I think you have to try these things for yourself. But no, I'm a little bit skeptical as well. I think they're doing a few dirty tricks.
Right, last question. Claire's just asked, given that some people's timelines are huge, do you have any advice on what time of day, week is best to post business posts? Does it differ to personal posts?
There's been lots of posts about this, hasn't there, about what time is best to post. So I suppose this goes back to who you're aiming at, really. I tend to get the best interaction if I'm posting in the evening. If you're aiming at people who are likely to be at work, there's obviously no point posting at like 11 o'clock in the morning and expecting a response. But I also think that you can't work it out too exact. I think if you sit there for too long trying to figure out when everyone's online, you're going to have wasted a lot of time. So I think it's just about being consistent, being consistent and doing a little bit. I tend to post, something in the morning, something at lunchtime, a couple of things in the evening, and hopefully that way you're catching everybody, really. Yeah, there's always the chance you're going to miss people, unfortunately, isn't there? That it's not exact science. Not all your customers are going to be online at exact same time, and you post exactly kind of 10 minutes past 8 and everyone's going to see it. You just, again, it's a bit of trial and error, really. If you notice, like I have, that you're getting the most likes and comments in the night, then in the evening, then great, you'll know to post more things in the evening.
Super.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's been really useful. And I think the key thing is, like we covered before, it is about everybody engaging more on Facebook themselves when they're looking on it and liking things and sharing things. In the BizMums group, I always encourage, obviously, everyone to like each other's pages and to share each other's posts. You can create interest lists.
Yeah.
I've got a BizMums interest list. So every twice a week maybe, I just click on that and it'll bring up more posts, and they're not in my news feed, but I'm not too sure if it brings up every single post.
I'm not sure about that, but I've got a couple of interest lists for different networking groups and kind of one for my clients and stuff. But yeah, and I think the more you interact with people, the more you see their posts as well. But yeah, I think if everyone can help each other out, and I say I've got a few people that we kind of do that on purpose. We kind of, we'll ask each other to share things. I think that's a good way as well.
Well, that's it. We had a members-only Facebook webinar on Tuesday with a lady who is running, she's brilliant on Facebook, and she was talking about having joint ventures with other people who've got pages that have got bigger numbers than yourself. They've got similar target market, but they're not necessarily competition, and you make arrangements to share each other's posts on your pages.
I think if they've got the same target market, that's fantastic. So for me, other people that have got other business to business, so photographers or marketers or PR companies or printers that are all kind of related to my business but not competition, they're the kind of people I would ask to share.
That's it. So just to try and do things like that, and like I say, in the BizMums group, we're always encouraging everyone to kind of share each other, so joining communities like that. So we're going to be doing a webinar like this every month now. I hope that you found it useful and that you've enjoyed it. At BizMums each month we have a theme around which we offer support. We always have speakers at each event on that theme. So next month in May, it's copywriting and blogging. So we're going to be having a webinar about that sometime in May, and we will be having speakers at all the events as well. In June, the theme is Twitter. So we'll be having another webinar on Twitter, and in July and August, because of the school holidays, we try and make it into a bit of a feel-good theme. So I've got a webinar lined up with a lady who's going to be talking about some techniques to help with stress and relaxation, which I think is really important in the 6 weeks of summer holidays to have those tips.
Yeah, about week 3 or 4 when you start to...
Yeah. That's it. Also for BizMums members this month, we've got a members-only webinar planned in with Rebecca Harriman, and that is going to be about Facebook advertising, because it's clear the way that Facebook is going that we are going to have to start paying a little bit. Even, you know, it's just not going to be feasible to use it free anymore for business, but it's how to do that effectively, and not just to be boosting posts willy-nilly and not really knowing what you're doing, and getting a clear strategy and understanding how it works, targeting. Facebook's got some great tools for advertising and can make it brilliant for you, just it's understanding it. So Rebecca's going to be doing a webinar on that in a couple of weeks. So yeah, if you're interested in finding more about BizMums, then you can go to the BizMums website, www.bizmums.biz. If you'd like to join, you can join as an online member for £1 for your first month. So you can come and have a look and see what we're all about, and you can join our community, or you can come to one of our events as well. We'd love to see you there. If you've got any questions about Facebook, just like Melissa said before, message me on Facebook, or you can email me at michelle@bizmums.biz, or Melissa's shared her details in the webinar. So thank you for that, Melissa. It was brilliant, and I'm sure we've got lots of people thinking, and hopefully answered a lot of their questions as well. And I hope if you're already in the middle of your Easter holidays, and I hope the first week's been all right for you, or if you're just starting like we are tomorrow, good luck. It'll be fine. We'll get through it. And I will see you all soon. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.